So we have become super obsessed with terrorism, the Islamic State, all these things. There's like bomb threats everywhere. People, you know, are really nervous, and the media is not helping with the portrayal of the imminent threat of terror in America, which is sadly nothing new. Since September 11th, there's been like a legitimate concern for the well-being of American citizens here in the States, and hats off to all the people who have sworn to uphold and protect our safety. Um, but this talk is about another killer that I feel the media does not provide so much attention to. And an article by um, Lauren B. O'Brien for the FBI, The Evolution of Terrorism Since 9/11. She writes, since 2001, the American media has had an obsession with Muslim terrorism, from Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda to the current Islamic State. I cannot go on. There's an ever-changing threat, and we must constantly evolve to keep pace with this adaptive enemy. Furthermore, seized by the success of 9/11, Al Qaeda, and now ISIS, now ISIS, and the Islamic State has maintained its intent to conduct spectacular, high casualty attacks against the United States and its Western allies. And here's a chart. Showing the increase in number and diversity of terrorist plots against the United States since 2001. So obviously, with all that's going on, it's understandable why we should, be protective and concerned about these outside threats. Some Muslim, some homegrown, some racially charged, massacre attacks, but, specifically terrorist attacks. It goes without saying, there's a legitimate threat to American lives, or to, in Paris, French lives, and that should not be overlooked. According to an analysis by the New America Foundation, Islamic terror attacks in the United States have led to the deaths of only 45 people since 9/11. And like I said, I agree this number should be zero. However, in comparison to other things that kill Americans, Islamic terrorism is not high on the list. Although in the media there is a huge concern, or a huge picture being painted that Americans are dying from terror attacks. And I feel that we the people should be informed and involved actively. If we're so concerned about our livelihood, then I think it's important for us to not necessarily neglect the terror threat, but understand what's killing Americans in huge numbers each year. So going on to the site, it says, so heart attacks. What about heart attacks, right? So, well, heart attacks are one of America's leading killers. In fact, they claim 190,625 times more lives than Islamic terror. 610,000 Americans die from heart attacks per year. Cancer kills 589,430 Americans annually, and diabetes is the main cause of death for 69,071 Americans per year. So let's keep things in perspective. That's 3 deadly killers that we have killing Americans, not in single digits, but by the hundreds of thousands, the tens and hundreds of thousands. And yet there's no media coverage that's saying, look at what you're eating, Americans. You're killing yourself. We have become kind of our own, which is kind of ironic in a sense, our own terrorist to our bodies. Let's see this. Going on to what we're eating. An Australian government-sponsored site, betterhealth.vic.gov.au, says, diet is an important risk factor in coronary heart disease. Food-related risk factors include obesity, high blood pressure, uncontrolled diabetes, and a diet high in saturated fats. Hi, McDonald's. As we all can see, after watching a documentary like Super Size Me, as a man like takes this 30-day challenge to eat McDonald's, and we see how his health drastically changes over these 30 days, not for the better. Should cause us to think like, okay, well, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be feeding my kid this Happy Meal, or like maybe having a food source that's more natural would be more beneficial to my health because I care about it. I mean, I don't want Islamic terrorists to come and blow up anything or shoot me down, but yet I'm stuffing my kid's face, and I'm stuffing my face with this McDonald's, with this Carl's Jr., with all these fast food products, processed food, unnatural food. I'm killing billions of animals per year just to satisfy this hunger that's been embedded in our brains that we feel like that we need. And as science has shown, like, you don't. As this government agency says, high blood pressure, obesity, like all these foods that we eat that are high in saturated fats, which are clearly which are like the McDonald's, the Happy Meals, the Carl's Jr., the fried bacon bits that we eat at the county fairs, all this food, all this milk, all these the eggs that we eat, the ice cream. It's like fast food is actually the terror that is harming America in a much more substantial way than Islamic terror could ever do, because we have such great public officials sworn to protect us. However, where's that for the food? Where's that for our diet? It's not existent. You have a few people like myself, I'm trying, but other scientists and other like nutritionists that are trying to get this word out, but they're being suppressed by these companies to keep all of us blind, because advertisers, specifically meat and dairy advertisers, think we're stupid. And so I feel like to address terror in America, you really have to consider, like, I don't want to say the reality, but you have to consider more than what the media is painting by these terrorists. Because there are terrorists out there, don't get me wrong, there's definitely terror. But there's a higher threat of the terror, like, that's been embedded into our culture, into our brains, into our lives, that's actually doing the killing. So, the site goes on to say a low saturated fat, high fiber, high plant food diet can substantially reduce the risk of developing heart disease. I think we have a winner. So next time you're at the drive-through lane and you're in a pickle for like what to eat, let's go get some fast food, just remember you're sponsoring terrorists when you do that. And that's just the blunt truth, is that these fast food companies clearly do not take into the consideration our health. And it may seem like an innocent thing, like, oh yeah, they're there because they want us to eat, they want to feed us, but in reality, it's about dollars for them. It's about the money for them. So think about it. Like, I have nothing to gain in telling this to you. They have everything to gain by not telling this to you, and by paying millions and billions of dollars in advertisements and lobbying to keep us blinded by this fact. So, something to consider. Thanks.